Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the JBDC Virtual Biz Zone for Tuesday, July 4th, 2023. My name is Sansia Campbell, and I am the Partnerships and Events Coordinator here at the Jamaica Business Development Corporation. Firstly, let me just start by apologizing for the late start. You know how it is with technical difficulties sometimes, and we had some technical difficulties. We are going to continue to work on them in the background while we are having the session, but I assure you that it will not affect the quality of what you are going to be receiving this morning. So this morning, we are in a new month. So of course, we are going to be looking at a new topic, and we are focusing on compliance for the month of July. And so this morning, we have the ultimate organization in Jamaica that has to do with business development, that deals with compliance where business is concerned. I speak of none other than the Companies Office of Jamaica. And as you would know, the Companies Office of Jamaica is responsible for the registration of businesses and business names in Jamaica. So this morning, we are going to be starting off by focusing on formalization, and we're going beyond the business registration. And we have with us this morning the very esteemed Yolande Rofender, and Yolande is the compliance supervisor at the Companies Office of Jamaica, and she's going to be sharing some information with us as it relates to, of course, business registration and name reservation at the Companies Office for Businesses in Jamaica. Just a reminder that the session is being recorded. So if you know somebody that wanted to be a part of this morning's session, but is unable to be here because of whatever reason, the session is going to be recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. Also, if you have to pop out, you know that you can go back and subscribe to our channel, and then you will be able to get that information. Also, we want to remind you to subscribe to our social media handles on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, also on LinkedIn. We share information ever so often about the varying developments in the MSME sector, which is important for your business development. So, just to let you know that Mrs. Rofender's camera will not, I don't think she'll be able to turn that on this morning, but certainly you'll be able to see the presentation on screen. It promises to be very interactive. We ask that if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. And of course, Mrs. Fender will respond to them as soon as she is able to. So without further ado, I am going to hand over to Yolande and invite her to the stage so that she can go ahead with this morning's presentation. It's over to you, Yolande.
Thank you very much, Sansia. Good morning, everyone. Let me, since I've already been introduced, it's, Acting Compliance Manager, Sansia.
Okay, I just saw that. Thank you so much. Yeah, man.
All right, so who are we? The Companies Office of Jamaica is an executive agency under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and we oversee the registration of companies and business names. And we operate from two locations, one Grenada Way and Unit 3, the Annex Plaza in Fairview in Montego Bay. Now, I'm just going to go right into it. What are the benefits? What benefits do you have if you register? You're able to advertise. You're able to access loans and grants. Now, if JBDC or any other entity, they're offering grants, one of the first requirements is that you have a registered business, and not just registered. Most of them are asking for it to be an up-to-date, a compliant business. You're able to obtain government and other contracts. You inspire consumer confidence and you establish goodwill, because why should you, how can you have a business? You say you have a business, but when you have started advertising and then you decide, you use a name and then you decide to come in and register that name and they're not able to get it because someone beat it to the punch. You're able to obtain special rates on products. You're able to open a business bank account. You prove ownership. The business information is available on our website, and anyone, anywhere in the world can access basic information about your business. Many persons sometimes call to check that they are doing business with a certain entity and that entity is not registered. And this is more applicable a lot for businesses that are operating, you say you're online, but you're operating with a name that's not registered. So who should register? Any individual or firm buying or selling goods from an established place of business. Any individual or firm offering services from an established place of business in a name other than its or their own name. For example, Yolande Fender offering services. I'm a stylist, hairdresser, but I don't have a name for the business. I'm just operating in my own name. The name does not need to be, my name doesn't need to be registered. Now, if I decide to say Fender's Beauty Salon, I would now need to register that name. Every company that is carrying on business under a name other than the name that it is incorporated with needs to register that name. For example, KFC, Island Grill, the company name is Chicken Mistress, and they have registered the business name Island Grill. Who does not need to register? Persons who buy and sell livestock. So you have a little farm, you have your cow and your goat. Aren't you just selling them as is? You don't need to register it. You don't need to register that business. Persons who are occupying public market stalls and paying market fees. Firms established for social or welfare purposes. Public service, religion, charity, education, art, science, etc., whose income and profits are solely used for that purpose. So before you register, either in office or online, you need to choose a name. You need to choose a suitable name. You need to choose a name that is not offensive. You can conduct a thorough name search in office or on our website. If you're doing it on our website, doing it in office, it's a same-day process. Doing it on our website right now takes up to 2 to 5 business days for a name to be approved. So if the name that you're proposing is available, you may reserve that name for 90 days. And let's say that after the 90 days have expired, you're still not ready to register that entity. You can then reserve for another 90-day period, but you can't go for more than 2 periods, which is 180 days. There are certain words that need to be justified. When you're looking at the form, it will ask that, it may ask for justification. So use of the word crown or members of a royal family, or suggest royal patronage. For example, royal, king, princess, prince, or crown. Or a name that suggests a connection with a government department, statutory undertaking, local authority, or with any commonwealth or foreign government. The use of words in a proposed business name, which refer to a profession, occupation, and other business activity, require the production of certification from the relevant professional or regulatory body upon submission for registration. For example, engineer, you require the practicing certificate from the Board of Professional Engineers. Medical, you require practicing certificate from the Medical Council of Jamaica. Pharmacy, you require certification from the Pharmacy Council. Hairdresser, beauty salon, barbershop, you require your license, your individual license, as well as the shop license from the local parish authority, which is the parish council or municipal corporation, whichever one applies. So the first thing you'll have to do, after you decide on your name, you decide on the legal structure that you're going to select. You can either do, as I said, you can either do a business name or you can do a company. So you will choose the legal structure that best suits your need. So I think of the legal structure as the vehicle. What vehicle are you going to go in? You're going to go on a bicycle or you're going to go in an Audi. In choosing the best structure, you need to consider your personality, the purpose of the enterprise, because some entities, while majority of businesses can be operated as a business name, there are some entities that require a limited liability company for you to operate. For one, I know that for security, if you're offering security services, I know that public security regulations or private security regulations authority, I think they allow you for 1 year. That used to be the case. I don't know if it still exists. The size and the tax, the management, as well as the statutory requirements, those you need to consider. So I'm going to start with company incorporation. What is a company? A company is a commercial enterprise incorporated under the Companies Act of 2004 and has the following features. It is a legal entity and is separate and apart from its members. It enjoys limited liability. That means the liability of a member is normally limited to the extent of the unpaid amount of his shares in the company. The company enjoys perpetual succession, meaning that a change in membership does not affect the existence of a company, meaning that if a shareholder wants to no longer be involved, it does not, even, or if someone dies, shareholder dies, even if it's a sole shareholder, once they have a will, and even outside of a will, the shares can be passed on. It can be transferred. A company can be sold. Being an artificial entity, it can only be managed by natural persons who are known as directors. The property is owned by the company and not the individual members. And by members, I mean shareholders. And the company must be wound up in accordance with the Companies Act. Members are not agents of the company, meaning that just because you have shares in the company, doesn't mean that you can do business on behalf of the entity. When you're incorporating a company, what do you do? What do you need to submit? You need to submit the Articles of Incorporation, which is the Form 1A, 1B, 1C, or 1D. Now, what are these documents? The articles set out the rules for running the internal affairs of the company. You can create your own, or you can adopt the ones that you can purchase them from our office. Stamp duty must be applied to the articles, and this may be done at the company's office or at the stamp office. You'll also need to submit the beneficial ownership return form, A or B, and this is required to file the particulars of the beneficial owner of the company. You're also required to submit the business registration form, also known as the super form. The business registration form, BRF1, otherwise known as the super form, allows for one-stop registration at one government entity instead of registration being done at multiple government offices, as was done before January 1, 2014. The aim of the form is to collect all information required to be given by the business owner to various offices at one focal point. And let me just say that the link and the connection is only at the beginning of the incorporation or registration. So the information that you provide us on the super form at the beginning of the interaction, if you make any changes, if you change the name of the business, if you change shareholders, if you change your name, you're married, you change your name to your married name, you change your address, the business address, you're now required to go to the tax office to provide them with the information of this change. That is because the link stops at incorporation or registration. You'll also need an original valid government issued identification for all shareholders, members, as well as the beneficial holders. You'll need arrival documents for tax compliance certificate applications. Example, a bill of lading. And a TRN is required for all shareholders or members. Now, once the entity has been, once incorporation, your registration is completed, a certificate of incorporation brings the company into existence and it's proof of its creation. The certificate of incorporation is normally produced in 4 business days after submission of properly completed articles of incorporation, the business registration form, the super form, and every other document, including your identification, and that there are no errors on the form. Everything, the business registration form and the articles has the same information, right? So that has to be completed. At incorporate, the certificate of incorporation will contain the following. You have your NIS number, taxpayer registration number or TRN. You're registered with NHT, the National Housing Trust, and you also have your HART registration. New companies are also able to apply for a tax compliance certificate at the point of incorporation. So there's a checkbox on page 8 that you would tick to say, yes, you're applying for your TCC, and then that tax compliance certificate number will be on the data sheet, and then that is what you would give to the entities that you're doing business with, especially if you're going to be opening a bank account. The forms can be downloaded from our website or can be purchased from the Companies Office of Jamaica at a cost of $200. The BRF can also be downloaded and it can be picked up from our office free of cost. The cost for registering a company is $27,500. Now, if you are, let's say that you want it back, you're doing some quick business and you want back your certificate, you want to do collect your registration, you're able to do a same day registration by 9:30 a.m. and you collect the certificate at 2:30 p.m. and that cost is $6,000 in addition to the $27,500. You can do a next day registration and you collect it but for the next day, you'd have to submit your documents by 1:30 p.m. and then collect it the following day at 2:30 p.m. And the additional cost is $3,000. Now, after incorporation, what's next? You can't just set up a company, give birth to the baby and then leave it. You have obligations to the Companies Office of Jamaica. And we have some new things. The amendments to the Companies Act 2023 aims to strengthen Jamaica's anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism, and proliferation of arms financing as it relates to legal persons. All companies, profit and non-profit, are required to state the beneficial owner of the company. The beneficial ownership threshold was lowered from 50% to 25% for companies with shares. New powers of the registrar, COJ, to verify beneficial ownership through information, through investigation and inspection. So when you have a company, somebody from Companies Office may want to come in to check your records. They want to see your register of members to ensure that your register of members is where it's supposed to be. If you say that it is at your house, that is where the register of members should be. Now, one of the other things that you need to do, you need to file your annual return. What is an annual return? An annual return is a document which sets out in detail the particulars of directors, your secretary, shareholders, members, shares, and the registered office address of a company for each successive year after incorporation. When is it due? The first annual return is due and must be filed up to a date not exceeding the anniversary of the date of incorporation. Thereafter, it is to be made up to a date on or before the anniversary of the last annual return filed. You have a 28-day grace period, after which, pursuant to Section 121 of the Companies Act, a late fee of $2,000 is added. Now, in addition to the annual return, since April 1, 2023, you're also required to file a beneficial ownership form. What is it? The beneficial ownership is a form, is a document which sets out in details the particulars of the natural person who owns or has ultimate control of a company. That beneficial ownership return form is due when you're filing a new incorporation, when you're filing an annual return, when you're changing the share allocations, and when you're filing annually for overseas companies. Now, which annual return? If you're filing your annual returns, company limited by share, which is a regular company, you'll need a Form 19A and the beneficial ownership return form. The cost to file the annual return is $5,000. The cost of filing of the beneficial ownership return form is $3,000. Now, if you have a company that is limited by guarantee without a share capital, and that is your run-of-the-mill, that's your nonprofit entity, your clubs, your citizens association, your churches, any entity that is registered, not for profit, you'll file your Form 19B, your beneficial owner return Form B, and your income and expenditure statement. Now, the cost to file the annual return, the Form 19B, is $2,000. The beneficial ownership return form is $3,000, and the income and expenditure statement, $1,000. For overseas companies, they're required to file the audited financial statements at a cost of $7,000 and the beneficial ownership return form A or B, and that is $3,000. Now, if these documents are submitted, that is after the grace period, the $2,000 will be required to be paid. So additional $2,000 for each form. So what's next? Notice of appointment of company directors, Form 23, must be filed within 14 days of change, or that is appointment or removal of directors. The notice of appointment of change of secretary, Form 20, must be filed within 14 days of the change of the secretary. Notice of address of the registered office, which is the Form 17, must be filed within 14 days of a change in the address of the registered office of the company. I don't need to speak on that point. Now, your registered office address, the registered office, this is where you're saying that the company's office or anybody who wants to do business with you can find you. So when you have an annual return outstanding and the company's office is going to be looking for you, we're going to come to you to serve an annual return. We're going to serve an assessment notice to let you know that your annual return is due. Somebody from the anti-money laundering unit wants to come to you to check your records. It is your registered office address that you're coming. Now, we can also serve your assessment notice by mail. Now, when we come to you and we don't find you at the address that you say that you're supposed to be at, you're on the risk of being removed from the register because we can't find you to serve you, right? We send the notice by mail. You don't respond, you run the risk of being sued by the company's office of Jamaica. You don't file it and you don't file the beneficial ownership form, you run the risk of being removed by the company's office. And you run the risk of fines of up to $5 million, right? Now, if you have you're changing the beneficial ownership information, you need to file the BOR Form C, and this must be filed within 14 days of a change in address of the registered office of the company, of the beneficial owner of the company, of the shares that are held. A late fee of $2,000 will be applied if not filed within the prescribed time. So your company has ceased trading. You're no longer interested in it, it's just not financially viable. You're migrating, you get a job, whatever it is. A company which has ceased trading and has no assets nor liabilities may request removal under the Companies Act. In order to do this, the company will be required to do the following. 1, file any outstanding documents, that is your annual returns, your notices, your beneficial ownership return form, to bring the company's filings up to date. You'll need to submit a request for removal in writing to the Companies Office of Jamaica. This letter must be signed by all or a majority of the directors or an authorized official of the company, and must expressly state that the company wishes to be removed from the register of companies. You're required to submit a letter from a public accountant certifying that the company has no assets nor liabilities, and they pay the applicable fee of removal for the removal, which right now is $3,000 for a local company, sorry, $4,500 for a local company, and $3,000 for an overseas company. A company which still has assets or liabilities must proceed by way of liquidation. And by liabilities, assets meaning you have property, you have a vehicle in the company name. Liabilities mean you owe somebody, you owe the tax office. That's a liability. So if you have liabilities or assets, you can't request removal. All right. Now we move on to a business name, registration of a business name. And the ratio of registered business to companies is 3-to-1 in Jamaica. So for every registered company, you have a registered business. A business is a social commercial enterprise registered under the Registration of Business Name Act of 1934. It may be classified as a sole trader, a partnership, which is 2 to 20 persons, a company carrying on business in a name other than its corporate name, or an overseas company carrying on business. And the business has the following features. It is not a separate legal entity, meaning that there's no separate existence from its owners, meaning that you are the business is you. It does not enjoy limited liability. Partners are liable jointly for the contractual liabilities and obligations of the partnership. It does not have perpetual succession, unlike a company, and a change in the membership of a business may affect its existence. So you're operating as a sole proprietor, and God forbid you die, that's it. The business ends. You're in a partnership, 2 of you, 1 partner dies, the partnership ends. That you'll now be required, the surviving partner will be required to close the business and do a new registration. All partners may take part in the management of the partner. Property belongs to the proprietor or partners in common, or as determined by their agreement, if there is any. And it can be dissolved by a partner simply giving notice. Partners are agents of each other and the partnership. Therefore means that you choose your partner wisely, because 1 partner can go out and sign a contract, can go out and just do anything in the name of the partnership. What's required? The business registration form, whether it's being done by a sole trader, partnership, or registration of a name by a company. A non-CARICOM national must submit a permit from the Ministry of Labor indicating that he or she is allowed to engage in business in Jamaica. That is, you need a work permit. A taxpayer registration or TRN is required for all applicants. You need to provide documentation to verify your home address. And this can be utility bill in your own name, driver's license, or statutory declaration. So the driver's license must be up to date, valid. The voluntary declarations or statutory declaration must be signed by Justice of the Peace, and the form is available on our website. You'll also be required to submit a copy of your valid government issued identification. Now, we need the original. So, but if you're taking in a copy, it has to be verified by Justice of the Peace. Proof of certification. This is not applicable to all businesses, only for particular fields. For example, salons, beauty salons, medical and legal professions, pharmacies, engineering, pest control. Anything that you need to have a license to practice or to operate, that license or certification must be provided to us when you're doing your registration. So whether you're doing it online or in person, so if you're doing it online, you need to upload all these documents to our website to do your application. What's the cost? The BRF, as I said before, is free, and the relevant schedules may be obtained on our website, free of cost. Now, to do a business name, making it simple for you. I mean, it's a 9-page, 13-page, if you're printing everything document. But for a business name, you're only required a sole proprietorship or a partnership. You're only required to complete sections A, B, G, H, and I. Let me repeat. You are only required to complete sections A, B, G, H, and I in its entirety. Right? Filing fees, sole trader and partnerships of 2 to 5 partners, $2,500. Partnerships of 6 to 20 partners, $5,000. A branch business name, $1,000 each. Branch business name owned by a company, $3,000. Now, there are times when somebody registers a business and then they have multiple businesses registered. Sometimes you don't need to register a business every time you think of a business idea. Sometimes you can register as a branch. If it's a sole proprietorship, you can register it as a branch. So if you have a shop and then you want to open a bar, you want to open another business, a car wash, you have the option of opening it as a branch of the business and not necessarily opening it as a separate business. Now, just as with the company, you may decide that, boy, you wait long enough and you want this thing done. You can't wait for the 3 to 4 business days or 4 to 5 business days that it will take to have your document processed. You need it same day. So you want to do same day express. It's $3,000. Next day express is $1,500. Now let me go back. I should have said, when you're selecting a name, I should have mentioned the name. When you are doing a business name, the name cannot be the same as another business that is registered. It can't sound like. So phonetics is important. Remember when I did phonics in school? So express with an EXPRESS is the same as you drop off the E and put express. However you may want to spell it. Exquisite with the E before at the front or without it spells the same way. So once it sounds like something, it's likely that you won't get that name. So you need to be creative when you're coming up with your name, because you run the risk of when you're trying to register that name, that it's not going to be registered because somebody else have that name. A lady quarreled with me, said we're not registering her name. And she was very upset with me when I said, but it's not your name until you register it, which is true. It's not yours. It's yours when you register it and you have a certificate that links your name to the name of the business. Then you can call it yours. So the Companies Office of Jamaica guarantees the production of the business registration certificate within 3 to 4 to 5 business days of the submission of a properly completed application. The business registration certificate is proof of registration and ownership of the business and should be displayed in a conspicuous place at the business address. So there time to time, you go to a business place and ask, may I see your registration certificate? They can't find it, or the owner has it. Business owners, stop walking with your business registration certificate. It needs to be displayed in a conspicuous place at the place of business so that any one of our officers, or sometimes a police officer will go to the business place to ask for it also. The certificate is renewable every 3 years. It is the registration period that expires, the certificate that expires, not the business. So if you have a business that has been you have registered from Wapikil Phillip, it's renewable every 3 years. It is the certificate that expires, not the business, I repeat. And it's renewable every 3 years. So for every 3-year period that you fail to renew that registration, you owe us $3,500. And unfortunately, if you have an existing business that is delinquent, you can't come in and register a new business. That is not allowed. You'll have to clear up what you owe us on the previous business before you can do a new registration. The new registration business certificate, the business registration certificate will bear the following: NIS, TRN, NHT, and HEART registration. And for sole proprietors, it is your own TRN that is used with a branch, depending on the number of branches that you have registered. After registration, as I said, it's not just open up and you're good. Any change in the particulars of a registered business must be registered within 14 days of the change, meaning you're changing you moved, so you want to change the business address. You got married, you need to change your name. You got divorced, you need to come in and change your name. You've decided that you want to change the name of the business. You want to change the nature of the business. You want to add something. You want to take something off. If you add a partner, you can only add a partner to an existing partnership. You can't add a partner to a sole proprietorship, or you can't remove a partner from an existing partnership to turn it into a sole proprietorship. Any change from sole to partnership requires a closure of the existing business and a new registration. And the same with for moving from a partnership to a sole proprietorship, you'll also be required to close that registration and do a new one. 3 or more major changes to the business requires closure of the business and a new registration. And by major change, I mean you're changing the name of the business, you're changing the address of the business, and you're changing the nature. So you were operating a bar at 1 Grenada Way. So the nature is the bar. So then it would no longer be Top Shot a bar. It will now be Premium Car Wash, and it is now located at 60 Grenada Way. That's a new business, right? So you have to close that registration, return the certificate to us if it has not expired, and do a new registration. When you're closing your business, if you cease to carry on the business, you must notify the registrar within 6 months of closure. Complete the relevant BN6 form, which can be downloaded from our website, or you can collect it in office. You pay the registration fee of $600, and as I said before, you return the certificate if it has not expired. No. Yes, there are some penalties. For non-registration, $15,000 and 3 months imprisonment. Non-registration of your change is $5,000 and 3 months imprisonment. If you falsify information, it's $5,000, 3 months imprisonment, or both. Failure to renew or register, court closure in addition to criminal penalties. Non-display of certificate, $2,000 or 3 months imprisonment, and that's for a service. Now for a trading business, meaning a restaurant, a bar, once you're selling an item in exchange for money, it's $8,000 and 6 months imprisonment. Unregistered and advertising, $20,000 and 3 months imprisonment. And by advertising, I don't mean say you're going to advertise on TV and on radio. The business cards that you have handing out, the business flyers that you have handing out, the branded shirt that you have with the name of your business, that counts as advertising. Now, as I said, you can, for more information on the beneficial ownership, you can visit our BO Hub Jamaica, visit bohubjamaica.com, or you can visit our website, www.orcjamaica.com. And I see that the chat is lighting up. Let me look and see if there are any questions in the chat. Oh Lord. All right.
Yes, Yolanda, there are some questions. And
Okay.
there's also a hand up. So let me
Which one
just
is
go through
first?
let me go through the questions for you because the questions been coming up. 1 second. All right, so first question. What would be the basis of the lawsuit for not finding the company at the address given for the registered office?
Because you're required. So we want to see you're not filing your returns, and that is the suit. So you're not filing your returns, and that some people, the only way they will come in is if we serve a notice. No, we can't find you, and we mail the suit, if we visit you and we don't find you, it will be removal. If we visit you and we find you don't file, that's a lawsuit. If we send the assessment notice by mail and you don't answer, you don't respond, you don't come in to file, then that is where the lawsuit exists. Because you give us an address, we send the mail, send the assessment notice by registered mail. That is why we sue when you fail to come in. So we're not suing you for not giving the correct address. We're suing you for not filing the required annual returns and the beneficial ownership form that are required. So that is why we're suing you for failure to file, not for not being at the registered address. So if you're not there, if you're not at the registered address, but you're filing your annual returns, you're good. But you're also required to be able to produce your register. So your register of members should be at your registered office. And so when the AML unit come and they come to your address to ask for your records, that is where you may have an issue. Did I answer your question, Journal? I hope so.
Right. All right. Yes, she said thanks. Yolanda, can you go through the other questions for me? I lost them here.
Sure. All right.
And the hands that are up, just keep them up. We're gonna recognize them in a minute. Go ahead, Yolanda.
Re-registration uses the same business name. Yes, once you're doing a renewal, it would be the same business name. The same information would be there unless you want to change at renewal. Do I need a work permit as a Jamaican for registering a business name? No, a Jamaican does not need a work permit. It's a non-CARICOM, non-Jamaican that would need a work permit. Also, where should I place my home address? The home address would be required to be placed, I think, on page 3 for a sole proprietorship. A, B, so it is in section B. A is for the business, B is for the individual information. And should I move, do I have to re-register again? No, you do a change. You change the name, you change the address, whether your home address or the business address. Also, when an online store be considered a branch, it can be. So you could either do a branch or you could either do a new registration. It depends on you. And yes, it can be a branch. I have 2 online stores. Just started. One was almost 4 years and the other 2 years ago. The one which has 4 years old is my continuing side income and I'm still for a while. And the new one is 2 years and both are under different names. So you'd register one as the main and the other as the branch. So you could register the first one. I hope that the first one is registered as the main and then the second one be registered as a branch.
Okay.
Does the company's office remind their clients about the payment of their certificates, or is that up to the business owner? We do try, but with 100,000 businesses and one business name officer, it is a bit difficult. So it is best that you have the certificate right there. So it is up to you to remember that your certificate has expired or is expiring, and you can renew it 14 days before it expires, no more than that.
All right, you're seeing the rest of the questions down the bottom now from Wayne McDonald.
Yes.
Is there a checklist for the
Okay.
documents required for the company registration for, I guess that will be non-profit
organization,
right? And or single shareholder on the website.
Yes, the information, what is required, it's it's there. I think not sure where exactly, but I know it is there.
Okay.
So
And
Mish
another,
and Greg.
yeah, I want to change from business registration to company registration. How do I register all my business name under one company that is forming a group of companies?
So if you're doing a company, you close the existing business and then register the company using, so close the business, do a new incorporation. Now, when you have registered that, done the company incorporation, then you may, so a group of companies means that one company is just, they have other companies owning, so the original company can be shareholder of all the other companies in the group, or can register business names, which is be the proprietor for all the other businesses that are registered. So all the other, so you can just register the other businesses with the company as the owner instead of yourself.
Okay, all right. I'm going to, she have a follow-up question. What if I pay the fee to do a company registration and the name is rejected? Will I get a refund if all my names are rejected? Can one person register a company?
So if you do the registration, so if you do it in office, the name is rejected. No, it says not a refund. I think if you're doing it online, you'll get a refund so you can do the process over. But so, which is why it is best if you do your reservation first. No, if you do a name reservation and all your names are rejected, no, you don't get a refund. Can one person register a company? You can have one person being a director and a shareholder of a company, but they have to have somebody else as the company secretary. So one person, so you have to have a company secretary, otherwise from yourself. The cost to change the director is $3,000.
All right, let's go to the question, to the hands that are up. Grants for conservation. We're gonna unmute you and you'll go ahead with your question. Grants for conservation.
Yes, I noticed on your slide you mentioned that for those who do not need to register, firms established for social or welfare purposes, public service, religion, charity, education, art, and science. I just wanted to, because I tried to register, I'm registering for a name and waiting response for my second submission, but the work that I'm doing is strictly for conservation, for natural environment, protected areas, and so on. Does that mean I want to register my name so no one else steals it? But according to what you have here, I should have to register since I'm doing science and natural resources and so on.
Hold on. No, all right, let me go back to that slide, because you may that slide is strictly for when you have an established nonprofit and let me find it. It was who does not need to register, right? So who doesn't need to register a business name if you have, does not need, firms established for social or welfare purpose. So it is only for whose profit. So let's say that you have a it's a non-profit entity has another business. That is what the business, that business doesn't need to be registered. It doesn't need to be, but there's nothing stopping you from doing it. And so let me give you an example. What the name of the Salvation Army? They have the thrift store. So they wouldn't need to register the thrift store as a business because the income and profits are used solely for that purpose. So you doing a nonprofit entity, you have to register because you'll need to register in order to open your bank accounts and all those things. Does it answer your question?
All right. Oh, let's unmute him again because he's unmuted. Go ahead, grants for conservation.
Okay, yes. So if it's a not for profit, I'd have to register it definitely to get the name.
Yes, yes.
But if there's any kind of business like branch within that NGO, like a thrift store or so on, it doesn't have to
Yes.
be registered,
Or a
correct?
school, right? Yes.
Okay. What if it's a service to assist a school or to assist a charity or assist with science? That still doesn't need to be registered. If it's not.
Right. No, but you may, so it depends on, so we may say you don't need to register it, but if you're going to be going into opening a separate account, things like that, that is when you will need to. So that is when you may need to register it.
No separate account. I'm just
Okay,
asking
okay.
if I'm gonna
Right, no,
provide a
say
service to as a consultant to science or a school or
as a for
charity.
non-profit, and the
Yeah,
profits will income will go solely for that purpose.
yes.
Right, then no,
No.
you wouldn't need to. But for me, I would want to take that off because I always think of preserving your name, because in the sphere where we are, people see you operating under a name, offering a service, and then them just get up and just run to register that name. So even though that is there, I always think it is best. The best thing you can do is register it for your own peace of mind and safety.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, grants for conservation. Alexandra Brown has another question. I have another question. I had mentioned I'm a graphic designer, but do I have to register it as a solopreneur business? But you have mentioned that art does not need to be registered.
No, it is only for, it's only for a company that is registered as a non-profit that extends to. It's not, doesn't extend to all businesses. So when you're doing your graphic design business, is it that you're operating in your own name, or is it that you are you operating under your own name, or are you operating with using your own name, or you have a business name? So you have a business name for the graphic, then
She said she have a fake name for the graphic
so you have
business.
a business name. You mean a fake name? You
I
mean a
don't know
business
what
name
you
or an
mean.
AKA? You have an alias name, or you have
A username.
A username and not a business name? I'm not
That sounds like
understanding.
she's not registered. Not a
Right.
business. She's not registered.
Not a business. Oh,
Right.
so it is, so you need to register, choose a name and do a business. So if you're going to register, you need to have a business name and then register that name.
All right, I'm going to allow Berletta Lee to
I say
ask her question.
Why are you ignoring Menive's question?
No, I'm not ignoring her. I am just looking at, because there are some questions before Menive that I want to understand.
And Menive, Menive couldn't call me and ask me that question.
So what? All right. So BOR3A, what is that?
Hold on. Relationship to a company. Can two beneficial owners select the same option? For example, owning 25 to 50. Yes.
Okay.
And can they also select all three options? If that is applicable to them, it's 3 or 1. It's just one option, whichever one applies.
Okay.
I don't have a form with me. Whichever one applies, they wouldn't want to select all 3.
Okay, so it's not Menive, it's Simone that is using Menive's account, and that's fine, Simone. We have no challenge with that.
Hi, Simone.
All right, look here. Let's take the one from Berletta. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Berletta. We're unmuting you. Are you able to unmute, Berletta?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
Go ahead.
Good morning. Thanks.
Morning. No problem.
So first of all, I joined really, really late. I almost came in for the benediction. So you
can rewatch it on YouTube.
Oh, excellent. My first question was going to be, how do I, is it that you want to share the presentation or send us a link or something? All right. So because I joined late, I don't know if this question will kind of make sense, but I'm looking at this slide which says no registration required. It has some categories. Now the last category, I assume a question is about an alumni association.
No, the alumni needs to be registered, but if the alumni is offering a service or a trade in those things, that is when it doesn't need to be registered. That is the additional business. So not that your alumni doesn't need to be registered. Is if let's say that the alumni is now going to open a tuck shop, or you're going to be having a store, that store wouldn't need to be registered. But yes, the alumni would need to be registered.
Oh, you're saying if the alumni association was going to open some kind of commercial enterprise, we would not need to be registered?
And that is only if the income and profits are being used solely to go back into the entity. So if it is where you're going to be doing it and then you're going to be splitting it up between the members, then you need to register it. But if it's going to be going back to fund the activities of the alumni, then you would need to register it. So it's not that the alumni does need to register. It is only if it is going to be doing something else. Your non-profit already established, and then you want to establish something else for social and welfare purposes.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. So there would be no further registration required.
Right.
In this kind of activity, as long as it is solely for that purpose.
Right. But as I said before, Jamaica, we love copy. So you may be operating with a name and you're doing very well. And then somebody decide that they want to come right on your coattail and then take the name. So while it does say that you don't have to, I would always recommend that you do.
Exactly.
So, but what if the name is the exact name of the alumni association?
But you would need to register it, because for a company can operate wherever with as many locations as possible. It is a business name that can't. So a business name is restricted to the address that they are operating from. And once they decided they want to do another entity, another business somewhere else, they would need to register that other as a branch. But for a company, you wouldn't need to do a new registration.
Got you. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, great. You're welcome, Berletta. All right. Yolande, someone is asking, how do you register a foundation?
It's a non-profit.
Yeah.
With the form 1B, the BRF, and the form beneficial ownership return form B. Submit those along with IDs for the members.
Okay. All right. Any more questions?
And the cost is 27,500.
Okay. All right, Leith. So you heard that 27,500 and all those the other forms that she mentioned. All right. Someone else just asked a question. What if I pay the fee to do a company registration and the name is rejected? Oh, no, it's not that. Because you answered that one already, right? The one where if the name is rejected, if you'll get a refund. All right, so there are no additional questions in the chat, and I see no hands. So I assume, okay, Charmaine, okay. Okay, so in the meantime, while Charmaine is coming up with her question, should I register all my labels? I'm not so sure what you mean when you say labels leave. Not so sure at all. See if you can explain it some more. Oh, Journal, I can't find your question.
Journal, I should send a private question.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing it at all. All right. Berletta, in the meantime, Berletta has raised her hand again. So go ahead, Berletta, and then let's see if we can find Journal's question.
Thank you, Santia. I wanted to ask about limits of liability as it relates to the directors of non-profits. Who are typically say elected in an election, you're elected to be the president or the secretary, etc. Is there any, is the liability, the limits, are they the same as in a for-profit?
There is a, for the nonprofit, there is a guarantee. And so in the event that, so it's limited by guarantee. So one moment.
All right, in the meantime, just want to remind everyone that the session was recorded. So for those persons that are just coming in, we will provide you, you can always check out our YouTube channel at JBDC Jamaica, and you will be able to access the presentation by about Friday of this week. So, and there are also presentations from way back when that you can also binge watch as well.
Okay, so to answer that question, when the articles of incorporation are being done for the nonprofit, there's a guaranteed amount that is there, which binds each director or member. How long ago? So for some you may have $100, you may have $500, you may have $1,000. So it is limited to your, so it's limited by guarantee. So your indebtedness is limited to the amount of the guarantee that is in the articles. So once you're a director, that is what you're limited to.
And is the amount determined by the company's office, or it could
no,
be
the company. So when you're
submitting
submitting by the company, when you're submitting your articles, if you should check the articles, you'd see the guarantee amount has to be there in the schedules.
Okay.
It says in the schedules, as well as for if it's recently incorporated, it would be on page 2 of the articles, I think. That was page 2 or 3.
Okay. And just a quick follow-up, when that organization, let's say you had that change of leadership / directors, is it just a submission of the minutes of the meeting? Is that all you require to make that change?
Just to submit the Form 23, and now it requires a signature of all the persons who are being added as directors.
Form 23, and the person
and the secretary, and for the secretary, it's a Form 20.
And for the directors that are being removed,
it's the same form, same Form 23. So once the date is the same, you use the same Form 23. So if you're removing or appointing at a different date, then you have to have one for each date.
I see. So there's no need to submit the minutes to back that up?
No.
Okay, I think the bank prefers it, but I guess you don't. All right.
No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Berletta. All right, moving to Leith Forrester James. Just go ahead with your question quickly. Are you able to unmute, Leith? While she finds the unmute button, I am going to allow Norman Loney. Go ahead with your question.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
So Yulan, I've always been curious. If you're operating in your personal name, you do not need to register.
If you are offering a service in your own name, you can only offer a service in your own name. Once you're trading, you have to find a name and register it. So operating in your own name is only available to service. So if you're an accountant, you're an attorney, you are operating just by you have a barbershop and you don't have no name for the barbershop because that's a service. If you're a stylist, you're operating a beauty salon, but you're operating in your own name, you didn't put up a sign, you didn't put up and say that your loan is barbershop, for a service or you're loaning the account, Norman loan the accountant. But once you're going to say loan is accounting services, once you have it, you have to, once you name. So if you're offering a service, you can have the option to not register once you're offering that service in your own name. But once you're trading, you are required to find the name and register that name. So when you're trading, there's no gray area for that one. So it's only for if you're offering a service.
All right, I get that. But I'm asking against the backdrop of somebody who's doing a similar thing. But they are registered, while I can probably be under the tax radar, because I can have people sending clients to me, and that's why I asked the question.
Well, as I said,
Okay.
when you're offering a service, the act states that you don't need to be registered. Hello?
Are we still here?
Yes, yes, I am.
All right, so Norman went mute. Norman?
Yeah, I'm back again.
Right,
Yeah, man.
go ahead.
Thanks, you have answered, but I just still think there's a little area there where somebody can exploit that. But you have answered. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, Leith, go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I just want to say thanks for JBDC, you're the best, and thanks for the company office. You're keeping us on our toes. I am a producer of seasoning and sauces and other condiments, and I have different labels. Do I have to register all my labels? They come with different colors and pictures. Do I have to register all my labels?
No, okay, so now I understand you. So you have different products. So no, you don't register the products, you just register the business that is the manufacturing entity.
Yes.
Yes, it's just the manufacturing. No, yes, so it's just the name of the business that you will register, not your different product labels. I think there's
Oh.
another registration for that, right, Santia?
Yes, I think you have to go to the Bureau of Standards to get your labels approved. I think it's the Bureau that helps you with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And ironically, our next presentation will be from the Bureau of Standards. So make sure you tune in for that one.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. All right, Yolanda, this thing is going. The hands are going up and there are so many questions in the chat. So let's look back at the chat and see if we can answer some question. All right. What if I want to register a branch that offers a service different from what was originally registered? Yolanda, you understand that question?
If you're so it's a BN5, you simply do a BN5 to register a branch. You're adding a branch, you select the checkbox, you're adding a branch, and the branch doesn't have to have the same address nor the same name. The only commonality is you, the business owner. So you can add a branch, and the cost for that is $2,500, and you would complete the BN5 form, the BN5 with the existing business information, and then you select adding a branch, and you put the branch name, the branch address, and the nature of the business.
Okay. All right. Another question. If the business was a partnership and one partner dies, can I close the business and re-register as a sole trader with the same name?
Yes, you can. But for the closure, you're going to need the death certificate of the partner, and you're going to need to complete a form BN8, which is a declaration by you, which lays out why the person is not available to sign, and then it has to be witnessed by a justice of the peace. Yes, and then you just pay the closure costs, $600 plus if there are any renewals to be paid for.
Okay. Can the single shareholder of a company be the legal secretary of the same company as well as a director of the same company? I hope I'm interpreting it right.
hold on, hold on, let me look at it. Can the
Can
single
the single
shareholder
Yes,
be single
The-
shareholder,
be the legal
the
secretary
secretary of the company?
and the director.
Single shareholder be the legal secretary of the same company. And so they can be single shareholder, but you could not be a single director and be the company secretary. So you can be a single shareholder, but you'd have to have more than one director in order for you to be also be the company secretary. So you can't have one director. You can't be a sole director and also be the secretary. But you can be the sole shareholder. As long as you have more than one director, you can be the secretary of the company.
Right. Another question from Yannick Walker. If you have registered a foundation and decide to discontinue the charity organization, what are the requirements needed to close the charity?
The same as removing any company, bring the company up to date, submit a letter signed by majority of the directors, and submit a letter from a public accountant which states that the company has no assets nor liabilities. And that's $4,500 for removal.
Okay. All right, one more question. I have short videos that I have created to teach others about soft skills, such as creating Excel sheets or drawing a square on Microsoft Word. Can they be protected under the business name once it's a registered business, once it's registered as a business in Jamaica? Or would it be under JIPO instead, or the Copyright Act, and placed as a watermark on the video? Yolanda?
I am going to the questions because
Yeah.
I have short
It's-
videos I've created to teach others about soft skills. Just create Can they be protected under the business name? I protected in what way though? Because
that sounds like something for JIPO to me.
yes,
Because that would fall under creative works.
right.
Right. So check out JIPO, Alexandra. Check out JIPO and see what protection they can offer you under the Copyright Act that we're operating under. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, Abraham Campbell, and allow you to ask your question. Can you unmute and go ahead? Yes, go ahead.
What is the consequences for an late renewal at company's office?
Unfortunately, just $1,000 late fee. But you can also, well, if we were into the suing of business names, we could sue you, but we're not doing that now. But but you should ensure that you keep your registration up to date, because you never know what may happen, and then you have to find yourself at the company's office to do a renewal and miss out on an opportunity.
Right. Good point, Yolanda.
I remember somebody said he stays ready so he doesn't have to get ready.
I like that one. Stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. All right, can we renew online?
Unfortunately not. Renewal can only be done in office right now, but I think that's coming soon. The website has been redone, relaunched, so it will come eventually, just not right now, not yet. Don't know how long, but it's in the works.
Wonderful. For the purpose of participants, Yolanda, what are the drawbacks to using your name as a business name, if any?
There are no drawbacks, because I've seen that. But you mean as in registering it, or you're just using it? So is it that you're registering the business, or you just, because I'm not sure. So let's say that you're using your own name for your business name. You just have to register your business in your own name. How do you prove that you have a business?
Are they able to advertise? That's what she's asking.
Are they able to advertise? But then that is only a service. So you're going to be saying Yolande Fender, attorney at law. Well, they can advertise Yolande Fender, hairstylist.
What
Yeah,
about event services? What if the service that you provide is event coordination and planning?
come on. So but and you're offering it's still a service and it's still in your.
And
you
you're
can see it in
offering
your
it as
email.
an individual.
Yeah, man, so you don't need to register, but I mean,
Okay.
you don't want to. You're just going to say Sansia Campbell event planner. Well, I guess that can work.
something. Right. And then so what if Sansia Campbell, the event planner, decides to put on an event? So I am, instead of giving my service to someone else, I would be giving myself so I am putting myself out there to say Sansia Campbell is presenting a children's expo, and I'm inviting other businesses to come in and participate and display and so on. Would I then have to be registered?
No, you still wouldn't have to be registered, but
Okay.
if Sansia Campbell is going to have an expo and you want sponsors, Sansia
Yes.
Campbell may very well need to now get a registered entity to get
Gotcha.
sponsors, because
Gotcha.
someone may not be as willing to just give Sansia Campbell the money.
But they might be willing to give the company the money.
Right.
Gotcha. All right, fantastic. Last question we're gonna take from Pent Cook. Where would someone fall in terms of service or trading if they do graphic design, but sometimes print their design on products for sale? It seems
That's not
to
a
fall
service.
with, okay,
Once you're putting your design, so once you're selling something, that's no longer a service, that's trading.
okay. All right, so Yolande, we must admit that this was a very interactive, informative, interesting session this morning. And I want to thank everyone for participating. I want to thank you for all of your questions, because they made this morning's presentation even more interesting. So reminding you again, the recording, it will be available on our YouTube channel at JBDC Jamaica. If you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because whenever we upload something, you will be able to access it as well. I want to thank you for joining us this morning, Yolande. We really, really appreciate you being in the zone with us, providing so much information. And somebody wrote in the chat, thank you for your patience. Let me look for it, because I have to read it. Yes, she said, Journal Small said, thanks for your time and patience. I really want to reiterate that. Thanks for your time and patience. And I also want to thank the persons that came in at the start. We had a delayed start this morning because of some technical challenges we were having, but you were so patient and you waited with us, and we really appreciate it. The next session comes up on the 18th of July, and we're just pre-inviting you now. So when you see the link come to your email address, just hurry up and register, because it's going to be another interesting session as we continue in our compliance series. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. That would be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Thank you very much again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
And thank you very much, Sansia, for having me. And thank you very much for your patience in my challenges. And
Not
thanks
a
for
problem.
Tamiko, tell Verdian to call me. And you can call me too for me to answer your question.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Yolande. All right, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, man.
Bye.